So this is a good chance that it actually will go live and we can go. Yes! Waiting for broadcast to be published. Yes! You're live! Ha! It's working! Oh, this is wonderful. Because last time, it didn't work. And it just wasn't gonna work. And I can hear myself. That's even better. I don't want to hear myself for long because then I can't think. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it. Oops, I forgot to do the at everyone. That would be smart. Yep. Okay. And then this thing. Okay. Hey. At everyone. There we go. Okay, cool. That's all good there. And all I gotta do now is just go into this page.
Have a good day.
Oh.
If you need anything, let me know.
What? Did she say happy birthday?
Have a good day.
I wasn't even talking to you. What on earth? I'm getting everything started. Have a good day. Okay. Thanks, Google. Just to insert yourself randomly into the conversation without any sort of invitation to do that. Alright. Cool. Good. Alright, that's all taken care of and done. Alright. I can then take this and minimize it. Because everything is where it belongs. I don't know why this happens, but when you go live on YouTube, it kind of shows it like, hey, this is the amount of minutes that you've been going, and apparently you're going to be going for an hour and 1 minute, and it's like, where did you get that from, Google or YouTube? I don't know. It's a great question. Okay.
Are you ever self-conscious to pick your nose, Brandon?
Yeah. I definitely am self-conscious to do that. But I try to do it when I'm not being watched, of course. And not to say that I don't do it at all, because that would be a lie, but I try not to be seen doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Although I don't think I dig for gold as much as I did when I was younger. Definitely a lot less, yeah. It's a hard habit to break. How have you been today?
I've been pretty good, man. Just woke up this morning and we let our grass overgrow for like 2 weeks because it kept raining and then to be dry. And I don't know if you know this, but you can't mow your lawn when it's wet or else everything cakes up and it just doesn't spit the deposits out the side of the lawnmower.
Interesting.
And so I mowed it 3 or 4 days ago and I used the highest setting, and we have a battery operated lawnmower and it took forever. And then today I tried to mow it again on a lower setting to kind of like work our way down.
Mm-hmm.
And both batteries died like a quarter of the way through the mowing the entire yard.
Oh no.
It's so tedious. So I don't know. I still have half my yard to mow tomorrow, but
Huh.
Yeah.
But isn't it supposed to rain today, or is it not?
I hope not. Gosh. It looks like my yard got a homeschool haircut, you know?
Oh gosh.
It's like long in the middle and short on the sides.
Oh no. That's a comparison right there.
Mm.
Oh oof.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I fortunately, by the time my parents started cutting my hair, my dad had a cosmetology license, so he actually does a good job with the haircuts, and they're free. Mm-hmm. So I'm very happy for that. You can't beat free haircuts. You just can't.
Yeah.
I mean,
you know.
I think.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Totally different thought. If it's consistent, go for it.
I was just gonna say that we're probably gonna have someone join us today at some point. So.
Who is Deadpool?
I don't know. That is a good question. Deadpool, if you are in our Facebook or YouTube chat, let us know who you are, because we do not recognize you by name. Are you wanting to also join us at some point during the chat and talk about what's going on? Because we will definitely love to open the door for that come probably about like the middle point of the stream after we've had some stuff to like cover and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let us know.
But I just noticed that doing the stream and stuff and inviting people to Discord for League of Legends, we have 44 people in the Discord
Yeah.
offline and 26 online. I didn't know it worked that way.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I know that you wouldn't expect to invite people to Thought Raid via League of Legends, but it's great. It's the fastest growing server I've started.
Yeah, I wonder if people are actually gonna be impacted and think, oh, well, I wonder what they do here. I guess you're posting it in the Discord stream chat.
Oh, I'm certain people would be impacted by it at some point or other. It may take some time before the people that come for League of Legends may actually show up for our streams, but it's bound to hit someone sometime, somehow. Yeah. Oh, man, it's been a nice week, too, for me. Very nice. Yeah. Very nice. I've got to
nice.
I got to spend time with friends. It is nice, yes. And we've all had like great discussions too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hanging out with your community was really cool.
Yeah?
Yeah. Especially listening to you guys play Sea of Thieves.
Ah! That is a game that you should get. We could do that at some point.
Oh, it looks... Oh, no, I don't know, dude. It looks so stressful.
Stressful? In comparison to League of Legends?
Well, League of Legends I'm good at. It's comfortable.
Let me tell you, okay? Sea of Thieves is less harder than League of Legends. It has stressful moments, but then again, I'm also a very emotive person, so I can make things seem 10 times more stressful than they actually are. So it's not that bad. I like to be dramatic sometimes because I think people will get a kick out of it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Trying new things is like, it's like underwear, man. You know, you have that pair of underwear that you've been wearing for 10 years, you know, like League of Legends, and, you know, it's not the best, and, you know, it might have holes in it, and it might be a little worn out, but you know what to expect with it.
Yeah, it's probably also nicely stretched, too.
Yeah. New underwear is just, like, constrictive in all the wrong ways.
But you have to eventually make the transition, otherwise it's just going to fall apart anyways, so...
Yeah,
there will come a day when League will fall apart.
You shut your mouth.
I rebuke that in Jesus' name.
But there's this stuff that I've been looking at called Separatech. Have you seen ads for that on? It's men's undergarments. I'd say underwear because it's not just like briefs or boxer briefs or boxers, but like it's got a hole where you put your
stuff,
you know, your goods, and then it's got another flap where you put the long piece of the goods, and it kind of keeps them separated. That way they don't chafe and they don't, I guess, stick together. Because you know how you're walking down the road and everything sticks and you kind of do that Jimmy walk to the side to kind of like loosen everything?
Yes, I've done that, yes.
Yeah, it prevents that.
But usually the biggest issue is, and it has nothing even to do with that part, but sometimes after like walking for a long time and you're sweaty and then like their thighs rub, and then that's the worst. That hurts after a while. Well.
On
that note, hello everybody, and welcome to Thought Raid, a show where we take on your thoughts and find better ways of thinking about them. I'm Brandon Brown, owner of United Gamers Nations and a lay counselor, and gathered with me is Tim Denock, who is the owner of Break the Meta LLC. And tonight, as you know, is Get Naked Monday, where we metaphorically get naked and talk about things that are going on in our lives that are a little bit more personal, and just kind of share with you where we're at and how we're working through things. Actually, this is like one of my favorite days because I enjoy sharing my processes with other people. Like, how do I process through things? Because I know sometimes when you're trying to better yourself, you can get into this state of perfectionism and just kind of like forget like that you're a human. And then you assume that all these other people have these perfect lives and they don't have issues, or they like, they just know exactly how to process through things. And it's just like, sometimes I think it's good to lay down all of the facade and just, hey, I'm a human being and I gotta work through things a lot sometimes. Here's how I do it. So that's why I want to turn Mondays into something that's exciting to look forward to, rather than something you're grueling and like, it's Monday again.
Well, also in our line of work, it's so easy to get wrapped up in the perfectionism because, we, hello, whoever that is.
I pulled him up.
We provide perspective, and we talk about things from our experience, and some of the stuff we've figured out and some of the stuff we don't. But like coming at stuff like this from the perspective of, hey, I don't really have this figured out either. It's almost like walking in this, you lose your credibility because you're a noob.
One of the things I've noticed as I've kind of gone along anyways, is that oftentimes people will look up to me and they'll think that I got my whole life together, and it's my favorite thing to do to throw a rock at that glass. Because I don't want to be put on a pedestal to think that I've arrived and all of my problems are non-existent. Not to say that I live constantly in turmoil or anything of that nature. I've learned how to survive, in rough conditions from time to time. But I still want it to be known that, I have a process I got to work through. And that is what, Get Naked Monday is all about. So real quick, Don, if you're wanting to chat with us at some point, let me know. And then probably about the middle part is when we'll unmute you, so that way you can talk with us, whatever is on your mind. We'll love to kind of open the floor for you. Okay, cool. So not quite yet, but more so around between like 7:45, around that time frame is when we'll try to like go through what we have in our mind, and then we'll open the door for you. So just so you're aware. So yeah, so today, one of the things that I wanted to talk about, and you've got some like stuff to kind of guide me through with this, Tim, is I wanted to talk more about giving. And this is like a big thing because this is something that God has been working on me a lot recently, like more than like it's been a process all my life, but especially recently, even during all this time with not having a job and my only source of income is what's coming in from the government at the moment, God has not backed down on encouraging me to be generous, which is really upping the ante. It's like, okay, I'm going to be generous, and I don't know where my next source of money is going to come from right now. Why are you still motivating me to be generous in all this? Like, God, do you not see that I don't have much left over after I give, And so, like, this whole process, it began before I lost my job, and it seems to have increased after I lost my job. So, like, before, like, I recognized towards the end of last year that I had a lot of anxiety linked to giving. And it wasn't necessarily that I was against it. It was more so linked to the fact that there's like gift giving, if you ever heard of the 5 love languages, you got acts of service, gifts, touch, words of affirmation, and quality time. And so my biggest ones are words of affirmation, quality time, and touch. But gifts and acts of service are way down there.
Those are mine.
And oftentimes, really good friends are on the opposite ends of the spectrum with that. And so, the reason being is because I'm an only child. So, like, if I ever wanted something within a certain reasonable amount of time, it was mine. Obviously, certain really big things, was not a luxury for me because we were a middle-class family. But for the most part, if I wanted a video game, I got the video game. If I wanted a computer, I got the computers. Those big things, my parents were always financially stable enough that I could get it. So it wasn't really of a special occasion for me. And then I had grown up also watching the politics of gift giving, and that really put it really soured gifts for me, because I would see the people that you would give them a gift and you could tell the gift had no value to them, and it made you just not want to give gifts anymore. Or you could hear the stories about the guy who gave the gift, and the response from the woman was, "You just don't know who I am," or "You're not paying attention," and stuff of that nature. And that was honestly, those things destroyed slowly my desire to gift give, because it made gift giving an anxious thing for me of like, what if I get it wrong? And so like there were certain safe zones where I could give, like to a ministry. I always felt safe to do that. And if I'm super confident with the person, then, and we share like similar like hobbies, okay, I could kind of do better with that. But otherwise, like, I didn't even want to give sometimes because I didn't want to get it wrong. I didn't want to have the pain of hearing, "Were you not paying attention?" or things of that nature. It just made it all too spooky for me. But God started to confront me about that last year. And he also started to confront me about just being more adventurous with giving and being willing to increase how much I gave. And so, like, it's been a process, and I can go into that more, but first I want to, like, open the floor up to you, Tim, because you have some things that have been prepared, and I want to give time to that. So, what do you got for me, Tim?
So giving, it's a big topic for me. Like my love language is gifts first and foremost, and my second love language is acts of service. And so giving gifts and receiving gifts is how I feel appreciated. And I think a lot of people don't really. Hey,
Hey,
Keller.
Clay.
Um, a lot of people associate a lot of just anxiety around it, like you were talking about earlier. Like when I was younger and we would have Christmas or birthdays or something, there would always be an expectation tied to it.
Mm.
And growing up the way that I grew up, especially when I was in my early 20s, I didn't have a lot of extra money, and I looked at Christmas as one of these things that I just had to do. It was expected that you buy gifts for people, and so like the week of Christmas, I remember one year my brother and I went to Walmart, and he was young. He was, I don't know, I was early 20s, he was early teens, and so we went to Walmart and we had like $125. We were trying to buy gifts for my mom and my dad, and we're like, well, what do they like? And I don't know, let's get dad a bag of coffee and a little coffee machine, and let's get mom I must have given my mom like 5 or 6 of those little foot massager, foot spa things. It's like, what do you get a mom? You get her a foot spa. I feel like that's the go-to gift, that or some kind of like bathrobe or slippers or whatnot. And thinking about it from the position of expectation, it's like, okay, well, what is the cliche gift that I can get somebody that makes them say, oh, okay, well, they got me something. I didn't really do it because I wanted to, and it's changed. And I think just learning gifting in general, and its place in your life instead of the place of gifting as an expectation, that was a huge perspective shift for me. Like now, I feel most at peace when it's weird. This is a weird statement, but I feel most at peace when I'm most worried about what I'm lacking by giving away what I lack.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I think
So like
so.
if I'm worried about time or if I'm worried about money, God's just got me at a place where I just give that away, and it fulfills that sense of lack that I thought that I had about that in the first place. Like, and I'm just going to throw a number out there. I don't want to say what we've done in the past, but like if we were lacking money and I was like, okay, I'm going to give away $100, by giving that away, knowing that God's going to bless that and do something with it, because I'm giving generously. I'm not giving to receive something in return. I'm just giving because I know that's the opposite spirit of lack, right? It just takes away all my worries about lacking money.
Yeah.
It seems counterintuitive. Gifting sounds so counterintuitive, but a big thing, we've talked a lot on this stream about my dad, my daddy issues.
Yeah.
Just all the issues I had growing up and all the poor examples that he set. But one of the best examples that my dad has ever set for me was he modeled giving. He really has a heart for other people. I know that there have been times where he's had less than $20 on his person and in his bank account. And he's like, okay, well, I'm at a convenience store. I know all these people. I'm going to go out to Bojangles. I'm going to buy these people a big box meal. And I'm going to bring it to them. He'd spend his last $20 doing that. Then he'd go to work and make some more money and, buy whoever he's with at work lunch also. And he'd buy oranges for people and he's just a very giving person.
Wow.
Yeah. And even when he didn't have much himself, he found joy in making sure other people felt valued. And I think he's the one that taught me that. The idea that when you truly give something generously, you're showing people or whatever you're giving to that it's worth the time, it's worth the investment, it's worth the thought, and I think that's why for me it's been really huge. Like if somebody gives me a gift that hits the mark, it's like, wow, you see me, you pay attention to me, you care about me. And if it doesn't hit the mark, oh, you actually cared enough to consider me to think I was worth going to the store or hopping on Amazon or, thinking about the value of $1. If somebody gives me something that's worth $50, most people work a job that's $15 an hour. That's working 4 hours saying, hey, this 4 hours of my labor is worth giving to you.
That's a great way
Keller,
of looking at it.
I think a lot of really good fathers show generosity. Like I'm just thinking about God and how generous he's been to me in the past 5 or 6 years. And I think learning to be generous that's the spirit of what it's like to be a father. I don't think you can be a good father without being generous.
Yeah. I think it was specifically my granddad, but my granddad on my mother's side. So I didn't actually get the chance to know him because he was gone before I came into existence. But he was the generous person in the family. And so I've been told a lot of stories from my mom about the times where he would, provide a lot of gifts in times you wouldn't think he'd be able to for mom. And Christmas was always a big time of year for her. And he would just load the whole living room with toys and stuff for her when she was growing up. So he's been, the stories I've heard about him and his giving has inspired me and helped me towards this direction I'm heading in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's really weird, but growing up, I didn't really think about this stuff. It wasn't until I was in my early 20s that I started looking at giving as something that I should aspire towards. My dad was one of those men, and he's still alive. He's one of those men that doesn't really teach lessons like, listen here, son, let me teach you something. Unless it's like how to tie a fishing hook or something like that. The life lessons. He didn't really have a father. So he just teaches by example, which is really cool because that's what Christians are supposed to do. And my dad's a Christian now, and he's learning that walk. But back then, he was a Buddhist.
Wait, when is that more recent?
Yeah, actually. I don't know exactly when it happened. I think it was after my mom died. He started really, well, he hit an all-time low, and just really bad part of his life. And something happened, and he was in a place where he was confined for a while, and he just made the decision.
Wow.
And it filled a void for him that nothing else filled. And he said that it was like a force that was, he just decided to get up and pursue it. I was like, that's really cool.
Actually, I do think now, mentioning it, I think I do remember hearing about it. It's just been a second since you talked about it. But yeah, I think I do remember that. That's cool.
Yeah. But, growing up, he modeled that for me. And I was like, okay, because how you just inherently pick up things from your parents, just like you watch the nature shows.
Yes.
And like you'll see the little monkeys or whatever, they'll model like how to crack open nuts with rocks and stuff. And you start doing that yourself. Like, oh, well, let me give away this thing, But in middle school, it was really weird. I remember there was a situation where there was one guy in particular that would always come up to me, hey, Michelle. And he would ask me for money for lunch. And me thinking, oh, well, you need money for lunch? Sure, here, have some of what I have. And you remember last stream how I was talking about that group of kids from the affluent neighborhood that made fun of me for living in a trailer?
Mm-hmm.
He was part of that group.
Hmm.
And so it didn't really click in my head that, oh, well, he's got money, or his family has money. He's just taking advantage of me, But from my adolescent frame of mind, oh, this person, there's a need here, and my dad has modeled, fill needs for people that have needs to be filled. And I remember, I don't know how I found out, but I think they were talking about it one day or whatever. But I heard them, and they didn't realize I was listening to them. But the guy was joking around saying, "Yeah, just ask Tim for money. He'll always give you money." It basically he was taking advantage of me, and I didn't know better because back then, especially, I didn't realize how valuable I was. I didn't realize that it's important that I expect people to value me, and I put up those boundaries of value.
Yeah.
And so I thought that's something that I just had to endure to win people's favor, like to win friends and to win affirmation. I thought that was something that I had to win from people. So I had to give up, that part of myself just to be accepted. But yeah, learning to transition from giving because I felt like I had to, or because there's expectation to arrive at some destination of value to, oh, I feel valuable, so I feel comfortable giving away something that I think that I lack.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing.
Much better place to be in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because people don't. I don't think you really could say. I feel like this is a bit of an extreme statement, but it's a statement that must probably need to be made. Like, I don't think anyone necessarily deserves anything from anyone, because we've all got good things, but we all got bad things that we've done. To say that you deserve my whatever that's been given to me, that's not a way of living. I feel it's a way of living in bondage, really. Saying that I deserve this from you, or whatever, things of that nature. It's an icky place to be, because then I think it also devalues the person to live in that system. We should be able to give because we want to give, not because it is expected of us to give. Because then it's like imagining like if you're giving something because you are expected to give it, it's like you take something out of your hand and it's coated in syrup. It's just, it's like, why is this sticky? It's just, stop, no. But then giving someone something out of the desire of your heart, something that you'd want to do, is definitely a lot better. And it kind of de-sticks that, and you can just give it freely. And it's just, it has so much more value even too when you give because you want to give, be that time or money or an object, whatever. It's just a lot better when you can do it because you want to rather than because you have to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, learning to give generously and just from that spirit of, oh, well, I want this person to feel valued, so let me think about them. Let me find a way to affirm that. It's really cool. It's almost, and being a gifter, this is going to resonate with some people. It's not going to resonate with others, but it's almost like my life is a huge scavenger hunt. Like I'll just be going through a store and I'll see this thing and I'll think of somebody. I'm like, oh, whoo, let me get this. Oh, they're going to love this so much. Like there was that year, I don't even know if you loved it or not, but I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago for Christmas, I got you those Minecraft heads. Do you remember those?
I do remember that.
Yeah, I was so excited because I knew that you were into Minecraft and you were a new friend. And then I remember you mentioning Luigi's Mansion. I was like,
that one I was super excited about when you brought those. Like, ha!
Yeah.
you can never go wrong when it comes to video games and me.
What's up, Will? Oh, dude, I'm so sorry. Yeah, welcome to the stream.
Welcome to the official stream. We did do Twitch for a time, but we found that most of the people that have been a part of the community since we started it are linked to YouTube and Facebook especially. So we figured it would just be better to stream to YouTube. I'm trying to think of the words. So, but glad you're here.
Yeah, but it's so cool because when my perspective changed from giving from expectation to giving because I actually want to love people and not love people for to get anything out of it, because I know people that will, and I've definitely been guilty of this, where I'll give something to somebody thinking, oh well, I'll be in their good graces and that now they owe me. Like when you and I first became friends, Brandon, I would buy you lunch thinking, okay, well now he's gonna like me. I feel validated in our friendship because I bought him lunch. And that's completely changed, and now I'll go through life and I'll just randomly see things, and it's super exciting for me to buy something or to give somebody something or to send them a letter. Like we have a friend that is incarcerated right now, and like randomly the other day I was like, oh man, I really want to send him a letter, and I want to send him these little postcards and stuff and whatnot because I want him to feel valued, and like I legitimately felt excited. It was the same excitement that I had when I was a kid when I would get a new video game, like that tingle in your spine and like right here in the pit of your stomach.
Yeah,
that's what it feels like now. Or like when God nudges us to give money to somebody or to do something for somebody, like help them move or whatnot. It's like, wow, I'm really excited to give away my time. I'm really excited. I sound so Christian right now, but I want you to understand that's not the heart it comes from. It's like,
no.
Once you get it, you get it.
Yeah.
It's like healthy eating. Once you get it, it's just natural and you love it. And you don't get it until you get it.
Yeah. And you can, I guess maybe this is applicable for both sides, but like there are different ways you could eat healthier and there are different ways you can give. So finding that area of giving in what form of it, I think, is another way of like, in building up that muscle. It's like there are some healthier foods that I absolutely love and will just consume. And other ones I'm like, not so much sure about, but I give it a chance here and there,
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when I was younger, and for those of you who don't know, I was in Amway, which is multi-level marketing for the longest time. And yeah, absolutely, Kelrick.
I'm willing to give food over money.
Dude, honestly, that's where it's at. But yeah, I was in Amway and I had my mentor, my upline, my sponsor. And contrary to what a lot of people believe about multi-level marketing, my relationship with Keith Beck was a lot different. He actually cared about me, and that man sowed time and money and invested a lot into teaching me things. And he did it from a Christian perspective, which I didn't understand until I became a Christian, But he said that the very thing that you think that you lack is the very thing you need to give away. And that's how you get over that hurdle. Because, Ariane and I were talking, we've been watching, what is it? Big Life in a Tiny House or whatever. It's a YouTube channel about building tiny homes and container homes and stuff. And when you actually pare down the things that you think that you need, you realize you don't need as much. And so, we get tricked, especially with social media and whatnot, to think that we need a bigger life than we actually do. And so when you give away the thing that you think that you lack, you realize I actually don't need this in the first place. Thinking about Jesus, how he gave up his life, it's like, your purpose isn't to hold your life. I mean, the Bible even says, those who preserve their lives lose it.
Yeah.
Those who give it away
find it.
And yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Minimalism.
Yeah. So the reality is that the main thing of importance here on the earth are people. And so you want to utilize what you have to garner more people, so to speak. Not necessarily that it's like you should be like idolizing people, but when we die, money is not coming with us. Our reputation is not necessarily coming with us. Like, the things that we manage to get in this world is not transferring into eternity, but people do. And so, the most important thing why giving is so important is because people have needs, and when you willingly and excitedly sow into someone's life who has that need, you could very much so be altering and changing their life for the better, which then builds friendship, which then builds opportunity to continue to build them up, which then increases the more likelihood that they will be with you in eternity when you die. And so that's why it's like you don't want to make the stuff ever your focus, because it's like you didn't put yourself into this world and you're not taking anything when you leave it, So you, Tim, and me, and those who are watching us, all of you guys, you are what's most important. And so I want to live my life investing into your lives so that together also, and thinking more, less eternally and at least more in the moment, when you invest in people's lives, it improves their lives and improves their ability also to give back. So, like, the reality is, animals are not going to give back to us, but people can. Like, the only thing the animals can give is their lives, really, and begrudgingly. And, the stuff, the things, all that we have and created for ourselves, all of that has come out of people putting their time and effort into developing the resource, farming, creating a business, making art, things of that nature. That's come from people. And so if your investments are into things inferior to that, and you're more so concerned about having stuff, that's not going to satisfy you. It's not to say that stuff is a bad thing. No, that is also a lie. But it should not be the focus. This should not be your master. So yeah, if you're in a place where it's like, I just want to get the job, I just want to have the money, I just want to have the place or the thing, in that case you would want to go more towards more of a minimalistic viewpoint, because those things will not satisfy you. I remember hearing a quote, and I can't tell you the source. I just remember it's like one of those things where someone does something to you and you remember the emotion but not what they did. Exactly. It's one of those things. I remember the quote. Who said it? I don't know. If you know who said it, please tell me. But it was, when you get to the top, the only thing left to do is to jump off. So if your goal is to be the best, then there's nothing beyond that point, unless you are focused on pulling other people up with you and building other people up. That's something I wanted to kind of bring out from what you've been talking about, Tim.
Yeah. Will said, brief happiness, but lifelong joy.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we first started all this, Brandon, and, we founded Thought Raid and we started talking to people and doing stuff, I was really excited because, I was under the impression, because you know how we can get the Christian favor syndrome. You know what I mean? Like, I am a child of God. Anything I do is going to prosper.
Stop it, Tim. Stop it right there. I feel attacked.
But, it's like, I thought we were going to do this and it was going to blow up overnight and I was going to be the exception to the rule. We were going to be the exception to the rule.
Yeah, I felt that too.
And then it's like, I started doing this and I started.
And then reality hit.
Yeah, well, we started doing this and I did break the meta and we were like, okay, we're going to actually, and all the stuff with your job happened also. And yes, we are, Will. And then it's like, okay, well, our purpose, the foundation, the structure of what we're doing is really to help people. But then we got, I won't speak for you, but I know that I started thinking, okay, well, how can I monetize this? Because I feel like a dirtbag.
I thought that.
Yeah, well, from my perspective, I'm a husband and I'm supposed to be the head of the household. I'm supposed to make money, And I was like, I need to make money, and I want to do this full time, but I'm not making money. So I need to monetize this. And then it's weird because in Amway, I remember the modus operandi was talk about the Christian faith and talk about all these principles, but at the forefront, it's a business first thing. You got to find people, you got to build your business, talk about the business. And now it's like, okay, well, let's talk about the people. But then my mind frame switched because I started looking at the world stuff and I started comparing myself to other people. And I stopped doing it because I wanted to give to people. And I started looking at people as dollar signs. Like I was trying to quantify my success by who I was able to. So when I was talking to somebody, I was like, okay, well, are you somebody that's capable of becoming a client so I can make money off of you? And, God really challenged me. He's like, dude, you need to stop putting money first, put people first. And that's when I started everything on a donation basis, right? And it's like I gave that away, and it has made it so much more enjoyable to just sit back and let God take me to the places he wanted to take me, because I wasn't thinking about what I was getting out of it. I was thinking about what I was giving.
Yeah.
I think about parents. Specifically, we were talking earlier about how it's really tough to be a father figure and not model giving, right? And I'm thinking about parents, like they give and they give. There are so many character archetypes in movies where the mom would give up her life for the baby,
Mm.
and the dad would give up the life for the family. I'm like, wow, okay, so everything is secondary, and so with this stuff, it's like it's so much more enjoyable to sit on Twitch and talk to people, or to do this without thinking, okay, man, Brandon, how many viewers? Yeah, oh man, we got 6 viewers. Oh
Yeah.
gosh, oh, and try to maintain that,
Yeah.
because we're thinking, okay, what can we get out of this?
Yeah. I actually, there's been a whole, I'm connecting some things together as you're talking about all of this. If you were to see my stream now and what I see, you can see that the viewer count I have hidden at the moment, because it's just kind of turned into a source of like condemnation, or like, oh no, like I'm not doing whatever. And I'm like, I don't need to think about that. But I realized, I had to go through the same process starting this whole thing with you, Tim. Because for me, what caused me thinking about the money was not so much that it's like, oh, I wanted to have all this money or whatever, and like, all this thing, that it wasn't a thought like that, but I wanted to do this as a job. But I had elevated the community into this sort of idol ministry, and it wasn't that even like Thought Raid was the idol. It was that ministry itself was the idol. So regardless if it was Thought Raid or something else, I kept striving towards ministry, and I made that into an idol. And the Bible talks about you can't serve two masters. You either love one, hate the other, or you despise one and love the other. You can't do both. You can't serve God and mammon, or God and money. And so consequently, I had to take my dreams and desires of having ministry as like the do all and end all, and just lay that down on an altar and like, God, no, you are my everything. Ministry is not my everything. Whether I get to work with one person or no people at all, or thousands of people, does not matter so long as you are what's most important to me. And that's been helpful, because in getting that correct, the concern for money also was taken care of too. Because I realized now, as we're talking about this, I haven't really been worrying or thinking about, oh, what if Thought Raid doesn't get to a place where we could be able to do what we plan to do with this. That's not a concern for me anymore, because it's not an idol for me anymore. And I feel like sometimes we can idolize, if you're like me, you can idolize a certain job, a certain ideal situation, and connected to that also comes the concern for money, that you'd be able to continue to worship that idol, and sacrifice things to that idol. Idols, back in the day, people literally worshipped wood, gold, silver, bronze idols shaped with human hands and tools that looked like various things, like a man with an eagle head or something, or whatever, or or an actual human being kind of thing, and they would worship these things, and they have idols. And then over time, people just started to walk away from pantheons and polytheism and stuff of that nature, and it was like, there are no gods. But idolism didn't go away. It just idolism has always been in the human heart. It's just shifted and how it looks. So what idolism, I don't know why we're shifting from giving to idols, but somehow maybe this is all connected. I'm just going to roll with it. We'll figure it out, God willing. But idols is anything that you have elevated beyond God. So in my heart, I have elevated ministry above God. That I would want, if I could just just spend my entire life helping people, and it's not even an ignoble cause, like helping people, working with them, maybe one day being able to even like, help the poor and stuff of that nature, and very noble, but it was above God. And so because it was not in the correct place in my life, it became an idol, and then became anxious when it didn't seem like I was properly able to achieve that goal, and I would feel less than, and I would feel like hopeless, and because it's not meant to be an idol. Like, there's no satisfaction in just ministry alone, because then it sucks you dry. People have needs, and it's a never-ending thing. But God is constantly giving of himself. He always gives life more abundantly, joy, peace, love, and so that's when I find it interesting that when I took Thought Raid off of the shelf as my idol and put it on the altar, and that was my sacrifice to God and saying, I don't want this anymore, so also went the concern for money. Because now it's like, whether this thing happens or not does not change how stable I'm going to be. Instead, my stability is in God, who never changes, whose love for me is consistent, whose patience with me is never ending. He's just constantly there for me, so I can put my foundation there, and I can minister to people in Walgreens, in a hospital, in a car, on the street. It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. No one has to pay me to minister to people. I can do that anywhere I'm at, and it's just suddenly the concern for money also went out, and God was like, okay, now we're going to focus back on giving again. So maybe that's how we're bringing this full circle. So, do you mind if I share some setup and then like kick it back to your chord again, Tim? Is it okay? Will that throw you off?
No, not at all.
Okay, so part of the reason why I wanted to talk about Give It Away today is because God has been like bringing this to like a peak in my life recently, pushing the boundaries of what I'm comfortable with when it comes to giving. And I'm not going to share numbers because you don't need to know. But what I do want you to know is that God has been pushing me beyond my levels of comfort. And like, it's been in times of just, again, in times where I don't feel most capable of giving, like, where's the money going to come from if that no money comes in to replace this that I'm giving away? And I've been finding just the importance of not letting my lack control my generosity. And that God is more than capable of providing for me, especially if I stop focusing on what could happen and just focus on where I'm at right now. Because where I'm at now, I can give. Where I might be tomorrow, I don't know, and I can't plan for that. But in this moment, I'm fine. And so, like, starting the beginning of the year, like, God has just been like, okay, your first paycheck, give it away. Just give that away. And so I did that. And I honestly, again, the walking company at the time was getting close to shutting. So I didn't know, like, how many more paychecks after that point I would have. It was like, okay, we're not going to worry about that. And then again, just recently, God was like, I was watching this one person. If you guys know me, you know that Tim and I, we've been planning on going to Japan at some point. For whatever reason, and I don't always know the full reasons why, but I know that God has specifically called me to Japan. And it's been something that I've been interested in at least a solid 8 years, if not more, into my childhood. And so this year, we made a plan. We're going to go, we're going to go to Japan. We started planning all this kind of stuff. And then COVID happened. And, well, that didn't work out. But through the whole time, and interesting enough, God provided for us to go to the trip. I didn't have to like strenuously try to make money to go there. It landslide right in. I knew I needed to trust him in providing for me.
And it came from one source out of nowhere, didn't it?
And yeah, and there was like one person that's just like, what the heck? Like, wow. And it really increased the ante to be more giving, because it's like, man, if they could be giving, then I definitely can be giving too. And then there was some people I didn't even know who they were. It was anonymous. And so all that fell apart for the time being. We're planning on potentially going again next year. But in the process, I began, like, even before we planned on going to Japan, I began, like, consuming, like, all things Japan. How do I say this in Japanese? What's the culture like in Japan? Because I knew, especially from the girl that I dated last year, that it's really important when you go into another culture, don't just try to bring your Americanized culture in there and, expect to make a difference. Like, you
flaunt your America.
Yeah, America. If you would just do things the American Western way, no. You need to embrace the other people's culture, learn from them, and then, work with them where they're at from their perspective rather than trying to do things, your own culture's way. So I've been like digesting like Japanese music, and I've been watching, of course, anime, and I've been going through YouTube and looking at different people's videos about Japan and their people that have been born in Japan, what they experience, what the good side of Japan, the bad side of Japan, everything I could do. And there was this one particular person that if you are interested in Japan like I am, and even just a little bit, I'd like to recommend Nobita from Japan. He is a great YouTuber from Japan, and he talks about the good and the bad with Japan, like a lot of bullying that happens in Japan, especially in schools, the social pressure, suicide rates, things of that nature that goes on in Japan. But he does so in hopes that by people hearing him, he'd be able to improve the quality of Japan and work on the social issues that it has. And so his stuff has always blessed me, because a lot of people that talk about Japan is either Japan is such a wonderful place and it has no problems and blah 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 or whatever, and it's just like, no, like, or they're trying to play into Western fears and like, oh, Japan has these biases towards other people, and he doesn't play any of those sides. He just says it as it is. Here's the problem. Here's what I think the solution is. Here's some people that are involved in the situation. Very well-rounded man. And he's been doing this part-time kind of thing, just like, we've been able to do it full-time because of COVID, but he's done it kind of like part-time working another job. And so yesterday he put up a video that he got to a place where he had reached 55 million views and 400,000 subscribers. And he was heavily considering doing YouTube videos full-time. And in that moment, as I was listening to what he was talking about, he was talking about how he had three options. He could either continue doing what he was doing before, which is part-time work and YouTube to pay the bills, or he could find a job in something like a CNN of Japan kind of thing, like a news corporation in Japan, or, and the scarier option, which he admitted, he could focus on it full-time and just micro-budget the crap out of his life. And he decided he wanted to take that risk, especially now that he had gotten to a certain level of subscribers and everything. And so so that hit me, because I've always, personally, I've wanted to, be able to talk to people en masse and have that be my focus, do what we're doing with Thought Raid and other stuff that I've done with, like, United Gamers Nation. And in that moment, just something hit. It was just like, all of a sudden, I knew, and the reason why I want to talk about this, I knew that it was important to help him in the way that I would want to be helped. And I just knew that I needed to give, not because I had to give, but because it was just like do unto others as you'd have them do unto you, but not even for the sake of like you're doing it for them because you'd expect anything back from them, because that would not be great. But doing it because you would want someone else to help you down the road, whether or not they get it or not. It's just like it's something that you want to do. It's, I don't know, the way I'm describing, I feel like doesn't quite put it as clear as it is in my head. Maybe you can help me with this, Tim. But essentially, what I'm trying to say is like, whenever you're wanting something in life, before you even get to the chance to have that, you must be willing to invest into someone else that has it and lift them up first. Not with an expectation to get back, but just for the sense of, it's like recognizing, you know, I want you to have what I don't have. I want you to experience it whether or not I ever get to experience it, because I'm more concerned for your well-being than my own. And just kind of getting to that place where you're helping someone not to do the whole, so the universe brings this back to me kind of thing, but like just like a laying your life down for someone else. And I just knew in that moment that was something that I needed to do. And it hit me so hard, I began to cry, because it's just like, I knew this was like, I needed to do this kind of thing. And it was a build-up. Man, I feel like I'm going all over the place, but I'm going to keep going. It was a build-up from all the things that God's been working on me for being generous. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to give to him what I would want, not because I'm expecting anything back, but because it's just, I care about him. He doesn't even know who I am, but I care about him already. I've seen what he does. I love this man. I know that he's genuine because of how he's done his work, and I want him to be rewarded for that. Whether or not I ever get to that, I want him to experience that. Does that make sense? Have I just buckshot it all over the place?
It makes total sense. I think it kind of goes in line with what you were talking about idols earlier, and like just catching up on chat, because I'll bring this full circle.
Thank you.
Will said when we were talking about I need to make money doing this, you know, he said, Scary, I just said the same thing to my wife. I need to make money, and sales is like that. It's why I can't be fully great at it if I don't stand 100% behind the product and know that I'm helping the buyer out. And, you know, the thing I see in this is it's the value prospect, or is that the word I want to use? The value proposition, right?
Okay.
It's like when you think something's valuable, you invest into it. Like stocks, you know, I do a little bit in the stock market. I've got $56 invested.
Woo!
I've made $5 in the past 3 months.
Yeah.
But you know, it's kind of like that. Like you go through, and there's so many places you can give, especially if it's money, right? And just like time, there's so many friends that I could give time to. There's so many people that need help with things. There's so many people that need encouragement. There's so many people. I mean, there's so much, right? It's like, how do you decide where to give? And like when you're talking about stocks, for instance, I scrolled and I was like, okay, what's going to give me the best return on investment? You know, I think we do that subconsciously, where we think about the value proposition of something we're going to invest whatever it is into. And a lot of times people will create idols out of things because there's some kind of value they see in it. And there's negative and positive value, right? Like earlier I talked about, in my own way, I was making an idol out of giving money to these people because I felt, or even buying lunch for you because I thought that's how I obtained my value, right? And that was my value proposition for giving. And then like your value proposition for ministry is kind of coming from a similar root of, you know, I want this to be a big thing so much that I'm gonna make it an idol out of it. I'm gonna put everything into, but you know, you seeing the value in what he's doing, you're thinking, okay, well, regardless of what I get out of it, you know, this is a principle that works. This is a principle that it's a truth. And like we were talking about a couple streams ago, you don't have to defend the truth. The truth is going to maintain. It's a structural, it's like a law.
Yeah.
You know, like the law of gravity.
Yeah.
You know, regardless of what you think about it, it's going to maintain.
Yep.
And so when you understand the truth about giving, it doesn't matter why you give or how you give. The truth is, you know, you operate in it because it's true, right? So you see that what he's doing has value, so I'm going to give to this because I think it's valuable and I want to support it.
Yeah.
And you know that because you've seen that as an undercurrent in your life. Just like with my dad, I knew that that was an undercurrent of my life. I couldn't regurgitate it and teach it to you. I couldn't speak it. When I was a kid, I didn't know. I just felt it was true, and it's just one of those things. Just like if I ever become a father, I know that I'm going to give to that kid first because it's valuable and it has needs that I can provide, and it just happens.
Yeah.
Like we're watching Lost right now, and the main character is a doctor, and when there's the big plane wreck and everybody's needing him, he's got his side cut open, but his needs are much less than the needs of the people that are dying. So he runs around to this person and this person and this person and helps them out because he knows that that's what he's supposed to do.
Oh, I'm so sorry for the confusion, Michelle. No, we're talking about the overarching thing. We're talking about is giving. Is just, I started to talk about the reasons why I decided this would be the topic, and it kind of came out of just a channel that I really support on YouTube called Nobita from Japan, and how God kind of moved me to give even when it's not fortuitous for me to give right now, and just kind of talking about the benefits of giving even when it's hard to do that. To give what you would want to have given to you first without any expectations behind it. So that's pretty much what we're talking about. It's just I got excited and started sharing a whole story.
Yeah, and honestly, like I said earlier, gifting is my love language, right? And learning to have a lifestyle of giving, it's it really opens a lot of doors, man, and it helps you not find value in things you shouldn't find value in. Like before, I found value in how many Facebook friends I had, or I found value in I don't know how much money I had in my bank account, or what type of clothes I wore. And when my transition from giving because I wanted to receive something or validate myself in some way, when I transitioned from that to giving because I see value, it's worth me giving. I don't care about the clothes I wear anymore. I mean, we shop at Uptown Cheapskate in Plato's Closet. We buy secondhand clothes. I can't remember the last time I bought something for myself at a mall store. It's just not worth it. Or the last time I bought myself an extravagant gift or whatever, because you really don't have those needs. There's so many people around us that have needs, and and honestly, I'm not saying this to puff myself up, but it makes me happier to give money to those people or do something for those people than for myself. And it's not from a position of, oh, well, so they think I'm awesome, or oh, so I can feel good about myself.
No.
It's like, no, but it's tough because sometimes when you give, you don't know what the result's going to be. Like,
Yeah.
I told you a while back how when we did the homeless ministry, there was this guy that we were talking to, and he was like, oh yeah, I got this girlfriend and she just needs, I think she needed like pads or whatever. I don't remember what it was, but we went to CVS around the corner. I bought him $40 worth of stuff, and I gave it to him. And then, we came back the week later, and the cashier was like, yeah, he came back in here and got the money for it. And I was tempted to feel pissed off about it because, dang it, that's not why I gave you that money. But, the whole shebang of it was that I saw value in him. So I was like, okay, well, whatever your need is, here's $40, and if he had just said, hey man, I don't have any money. I'm out here, I'm homeless, and I just want $40 so I can buy alcohol. Sure, dude, here, I love you. So here's $40. It shouldn't have mattered what the result was as long as my heart was in the right place.
Yeah.
I think giving to friends and, giving to like what you're doing, he might never know Brandon Brown gave him X amount of dollars. He may never, I mean, he's got 414,000 subscribers, he'll probably never know your name, but it's, I forget who it was, but somebody said, you always want to give to people that can't give back to you or won't ever give back to you. That's when it means the most. And I think that's a good way to gauge whether you've arrived with giving. Like if you don't care about the result, don't care about like what you get back. And if you give knowing that you'll probably never get something in return, I think that's when you know you've got the lifestyle down.
Yeah, yeah. You want to, again, it's very important that when you give because you want to give, not because someone tells you to give, not because, it's socially acceptable or expected or whatever the case may be. You want to do it out of the abundance of your heart. But I think even more than that, I think an important way of keeping money from becoming an idol and becoming something that you pursue is to be able to give without the expectation to receive, and also in those places where you feel like you just can't go without, to give anyways, because it comes a lot freer that way than it does. And plus, even if it didn't immediately do that, you're teaching yourself how to live off of 90 or 80% of what you make, rather than having to consume the entire 100% in fear, or hold on to the whole thing. It's just like, no, like, for those of you who are Christians, we live in a world where God sees our needs and he provides for all of his creation, including animals that don't have barn houses or don't have bank accounts, they don't have, clothing to wear, or they don't have a grocery store to go to, but he still provides for them. How much more will he provide for us? And when you're unwilling to give away money, you're making that money into your idol, and you're pursuing that idol, that money as an idol, and it's never going, your worries are not going to get lighter by being unwilling to let go of money. It's just that's how you keep it from becoming an idol, becoming something that you pursue and chase.
Yeah, and it becomes bondage, honestly, because when you get to, man, it's like the whole concept of keeping up with the Joneses, right? Once you get to this level, you think, okay, well, this is comfortable, but I want more, so I need to get to this level. But you have to maintain that, and
it's so stressful.
it is so stressful. And that's why, we were looking at the idea of downsizing and getting rid of our mortgage and stuff. And it's like, God, could you pay off our house? That would be really cool. But, the idea of just living on less because we really don't need as much as we think we do. We just want more than we think we do because we think that a sense of fulfillment is going to come from it. But we're at 58 minutes. Do you think it's good that we open up the floor? And I think Mishi has some stuff to put in, and Dawn did too. I need to use the restroom real quick. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so unprofessional. I'll be right back.
So while he does that, I guess we'll have you unmuted, Dawn, and then we can take on what you have to say, Michi. But so I've unmuted you, Dawn. What's on your mind? What do you want to talk to us about?
You have made a mistake.
What's up? What's on your mind?
Not much. I just decided that I was gonna actually pop in for once and wanted to know if I was open to like chat and maybe like weigh in once or twice. I don't know.
Was there anything that you want to particularly talk about on the stream?
I mean, I noticed that the stream. Hold on one second. Let me just really pull up the what you had said earlier, because it caught my eye and I may have misinterpreted something.
Sure.
Misinterpreted or something. I'll probably find it better in the UGN.
Oh gosh, I'm still putting binary code into. I keep clicking in one area and forget that I have to click back to the other place.
It was just the part about going personal on what we're processing through right now. Part that was gut, and it sounded like it sounded like I'd be able to just I don't know. I don't know.
So
I suppose I mostly just wanted to get involved with the just talking about personal stuff right now.
Sure. We're down. You have the floor. Put more binary code in there.
All of the binary code. You don't understand. You've made a mistake by letting me in here. You know how I am, Brandon. Why did you let me in here?
I'm willing to accept the mistakes of my ways.
Yes, but are your viewers?
Well, honestly,
can they handle me?
I think we'll be fine.
I'm joking. Yeah, you know I'm only just having fun.
Yes.
But yeah, I really don't have anything to add in regards to like that the bits about giving and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I've largely just started looking at things through a how to say this. I don't actually know. I'm turning off Final Fantasy 14 because I'm not doing anything right now in it aside from dicking around as a red mage. And oh, dude, it's the hat. It's the hat. The red mage's power comes from the hat. I don't really have much to add in regards to the whole giving thing. Like I'm the type of person who was raised to always hold the door open for people.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I won't deny that I do occasionally get a little sour if I'm exposed to a bunch of people who are just not saying thanks for holding the door open.
Yeah.
To me, it's a matter of I'm not asking for money. I just would like to be acknowledged.
Yeah.
A little bit, because it's something minor, but it's also something that I deal with on a regular basis. Because change out holding the door open for someone to doing something involved with my job, like getting someone their ice cream or getting something specific that they asked for that wasn't on the bar for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
I do enjoy just having thank you said to me
Mm-hmm.
for doing anything.
Mm-hmm. I think even then though, with the exception of your job, because it more or less it's a little bit harder to, say no in that situation. But in general, like going back to the instance with holding the door, I feel like it's important to kind of go back to what can you do that regardless of the outcome, you're still going to be okay, kind of thing. Because like if you kind of keep holding the door open, and because that's kind of like the expectation you placed on yourself, or life in general has placed that on yourself, and you get to a place where you can't do that, if people don't recognize you doing that and it starts to bother you, then it's not coming out of the goodness of your heart. It's coming out of tradition or things that nature. And then there's always like strings of expectations attached to that that get you hurt, and sometimes the other person hurt in the process. Obviously, it's not as likely that you'll hurt someone, with holding the door, with stuff like that. But those kind of things can add up, though, with time, where it's just like an increasing amount of resentments that eventually something maybe even small may happen down the road, but then the result is an explosion because just like no one appreciates me or things of that nature. And that's kind of
sorry.
I was going to say that comes out of just giving when you're not in the right frame to give.
Yeah.
Well, see, the thing is, I do always hold the door open for people. It is largely because I was raised to do so.
Mm.
However, I don't usually have any problems when it comes down to, like, I don't mind it when I'm holding the door open for someone that I am familiar with, that I know. Like, for example, I do say that I get a little bit miffed when some people don't say thank you when I'm at work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that way at all with the regulars that I like.
Mm-hmm.
Or really just the regulars that I know of in general.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so if I can jump in here real quick, there's two things. So I totally feel you on the holding the door open thing, because that was always modeled for me too. When I got married and in my relationship with my wife, she hates it when I open doors for her. And so this has been a long running thing between us where I'm like, woman, would you just let me open the door for you? And let me respect and honor you, by God, with gritted teeth. But she really challenged my perspective on it, and she was like, and I know this is not the same with people not being appreciative of it, but questioning my motive. Why am I doing this? She communicated to me that she doesn't like me opening the door because she doesn't like to be the first to enter the room. that's a huge like wall of a huge social wall to break, especially if she's in a place that might feel threatening. So she likes it when I go in first and then she follows after. And all my life, I was conditioned to think that if you're going to be a good boyfriend, if you're going to be a good husband, you need to honor your wife. And there are certain things that you have to do, or else you cannot quantify yourself as a good husband. And so I was thinking to myself, if she doesn't let me open the door, people are going to think I'm a crappy dude, you know? Um, and then she was like, well, are you loving them or loving me? I was like, ooh. Okay, so her preference is for me to go in first. My preference is for people to think, due to Southern social etiquette, that I'm a good husband. So it's like, okay, well, I'm serving myself because I want the validation of people thinking I'm a good husband, than actually listening to my wife saying, okay, well, I should go in first. That's the first thing. But dude, I totally get you. It sounds like you might be an acts of service person as well, because I know that when I do things for people and they don't say thank you and they don't appreciate me, it really irks me. It's like, I'm loving you. Can you say thank you, please? But you know, you have to have.
Yeah,
You gotta.
it is mostly I would like to, at the very minute, a few breaths, a few small words, even if they don't mean it.
Yeah. Yeah, but you have to have grace for people too, because
Yeah.
some people are going to be buttheads and they're not going to appreciate what you're giving them. Like, Brandon, for instance, since he's not a gifting person, I might think, for 3 hours about this really cool gift. I might buy it on Amazon, drive someplace out of the way to get it. I might give it to him on a random day, and he'd be like, "Oh, thanks," and put it to the side. Whereas I'm like, "Dude, that was so cool. Why didn't you say thank you?" But some people might not pick up what you're throwing down. And you just have to understand that when you do stuff for people, and it's not affirmed in a way that you would prefer, just think about your motive. Like, why do I actually want to be affirmed by this? Why does it matter so much to me? And that's a really tough pill to swallow, especially when you think that it's common courtesy. But honestly, a lot of people are not going to act in common courtesy because a lot of people are stuck inside themselves. It's a broken world. They've got their own stuff. Like, we talked about Karens the other day. They come in the store already pissed off,
Oh yeah. Please don't talk crap about my mom. She's a nice person.
Yeah, but you never know.
I say that because that's literally my mom's first name.
That's super funny.
It is, and the thing is, she's not like that at all. No. Here's the thing. I do know someone who is like that, and my mom gets frustrated with her too.
Mm-hmm.
So the type of person that comes in with an attitude, needless to say. Not so much a Karen, but a person.
Yeah, but I think we should switch to Mitchie and wrap up shortly.
Okay, so we'll do that. I'm gonna unmute you, Mitchie, real quick. All right, you are unmuted. So
1 second.
Okay.
Mute him again.
Oh no.
Now, something also I want to say, Mitchie. You said, I'm not sure you two would agree, though. And honestly, that's what this is all about, because we were talking recently about confronting people. And honestly, if you're talking from two viewpoints that don't match up, the whole goal of it is to figure out what makes sense and go forward together. So if we don't agree, that's totally okay.
I guess I'm too used to Reddit where everything's basically a circle jerk, hug box, stuff like that. You two know what those words mean, right?
Actually, I don't.
Well,
I'm just nodding as if I...
So Brandon, a hug box is meant to be like a safe space where, everyone feels safe. Kind of like, I would maybe say Thought Raid is supposed to be like a safe place. I wouldn't call it a hug box, because a hug box typically ends up being a circle jerk, which is just like, you start having even like a slightly different opinion, and suddenly everyone's mad at you.
Yeah.
Like, you like, seriously, go look at Reddit, go look at someone trying to, like, offer a decent answer, and then they're just getting downvoted, and it's like, this is supposed to be a button for people talking off topic crap.
Yeah.
And they're using it like, how dare you say that?
There's a reason why I don't like to talk about. There's a lot of reasons why I don't like to talk in some environments.
Yeah.
Because some people just they will take things the wrong way and they will escalate things past what you want. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's not worth it. It's usually not worth the hassle in my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, what I was wanting to bring up was I came in late. I started listening to the stream right as I like pinged you both to like join the voice call.
Mm-hmm.
So I missed maybe like half of it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Not a
I don't
problem.
have quite the context that you do. But I was getting like from what I was hearing about like you talking about how to give, you two talking about how to give, it felt like there was somewhat of like an implication, maybe not intentional, but somewhat like you might have like been implicating that we should give even when we're not entirely comfortable with it. Like when someone's like, you know how some streamers will say like, you know, don't give to me if you can't make your bills for it or whatever.
Yeah.
That
Mhm.
kind of thing. It kind of feels like you're like maybe I'm fairly sure this isn't what you mean, but it almost gives the implication that you're saying that you should do that anyway because it's nice.
No. So that's not what I'm trying to apply. The reason why I think the reason why I kind of came across that is because I was talking about specific times where I knew I needed to give, even though I didn't feel like it. But that was not the general thing that I was saying. In general, I think it's good to give because you want to, because you can, but not because you feel like you have to.
Yeah, and I always tell people like I have lots of money in my bank account. I can buy like a few games all on my own. My mom doesn't mind. You know, I have quite a bit. The reason I typically don't give money is just because I don't feel comfortable giving it over the internet like that, like candy. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes it feels like everyone's like tugging me left and tugging me right, and it's like support my Patreon, support my coffee.
Support my coffee.
I support a couple people on Patreon. In fact, Brandon actually saw one of the emotes that I got from that server. Let's not go into too much detail about that.
But,
So,
like, I want to set aside most of the money that I get each month because I do some chores and my mom offers me some money each month for it. You know, I have some things that I pay for. Like I'm currently paying for a Dropbox subscription to get like I think it's like a terabyte of storage. And then I also have I'm not sure how long it'll go on, but I'm currently thinking of doing a Final Fantasy 14 subscription.
So you can
and then
live your life like me.
But like I'm only getting so much, and I'm trying to ensure that like I kind of want to ensure that I'm always getting like some amount that I can put into my bank account and save for later because
right.
There's quite a few games that I look at and I'm like, oh, I want that, and I want to, or something like Lego Mindstorms that costs like a few $100 that I might want to save, and there's like a certain amount that I want to keep, which is like I think it's like $600 minimum just in case, because my mom sometimes pulls from like she hasn't recently, but she's always told me that if she feels like she's in a hard space, like she might ask me for some money. So I want to have that in there. Then I want to have some for myself just in case like I'm in that hard place.
Yeah. That's actually pretty
And
thoughtful.
Yeah. Like I feel like I don't want to feel like I'm trying not to feel like I'm just saving money and all I care about is the amount of money. Like yes, it is a lot. I think last I checked it was like around $850 I have in there. But I'm not saving just because I like seeing the number go up. I'm saving mostly because I don't have anything I want to buy.
Yeah. So if I could say something real quick, I get what you're saying, Mitchie, and I completely agree with that. Like, I remember when I was younger and I had
one other thing I should mention. I also like want to save because when I was a kid, my dad had I forget what it was. It was every month I would get like $300 from the government or something, and I always like spent that like it was candy. And then I realized later in my life that I shouldn't be spending it all in one place. So that's part of why I save it too. Sorry, go on.
No, that's okay. And you got to understand that as you mature and when I say you, I mean anybody in any endeavor. As you mature in your job, as you mature with finances, you get more and more responsibility with it. As I've become an adult, yeah, like when you're a kid, $50 is a really big deal. And then when you become an adolescent, $100 is a really big deal. And when you're a young adult, $500 is a really big deal. But when you get like 60 and 70, 60 and 70-year-olds have, if they've been intelligent with their finances, have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars saved up in investments. Like Chill Will earlier was talking about doing stocks, and you got an abundance. It's like, how do you navigate that? And how do you steward that well? And in the Bible, there's a story that always hits me about this really wealthy guy, and he puts in like 100 denarii or something like that. We'll just say $100 into the donation bin, and he feels really good about himself. But then there's this lady that has like $5, and she puts all of her $5 in the donation bin, and the whole value statement of that is that she gave to that, and that $5 meant more to her than that $100 to the guy that was wealthy. And so the whole purpose of what we were talking about, and why I agree with what you're talking about, is you're giving, but you're not giving to other people. You're giving to security. You're giving to supporting your mom. You're giving to fix an issue that you had when you were younger. And that's absolutely admirable and good as well.
I also just want to point out, I decided to take a quick Google search. You might have heard me like clicking my keyboard a moment ago.
Mhm.
I wanted to see if I could find the story. All I searched up was Bible donation bin story, even though admittedly donation bin probably wouldn't be the word they use.
It would have been the lady that gave the 2 pennies, or the 2. There was a story. Jesus was at the synagogue,
The woman who gave 2 pennies
or 2 cents, or 2 whatever 2.
lesson of Google's saying the lesson of the widow's mite.
I think that's it.
But what I was gonna say was, when I searched it up, I was looking through the results. There's a website here allowing you to donate unused Bibles or Christian books. I didn't even know about that.
Yeah. There's a lot of missionaries that go to different countries and give Bibles to people that don't have access to that.
Yeah. Anyway, another thing that struck me, and this is like way earlier than what I was talking about a moment ago. You were talking about I forget his name. He was the YouTube channel guy you were talking about.
Nobita from Japan.
Yeah, Nobita from Japan. And you said he chose between like getting a job.
He said he had 3
part-time
options.
job. Getting a job, like a full-time job, keeping his YouTube channel and a part-time job, or going full-time with YouTube.
Yes.
And you said he went with full-time YouTube?
Mm-hmm. That is the direction he's going. He's slowly transitioning, but he is transitioning towards that.
I hope he knows what he's doing. I'll be completely honest. Like, I assume he knows what he's doing, considering you talking about it probably gives me the implication that he's doing it successfully.
Yes.
But there's so many people on YouTube that are like, oh, I want to do YouTube full time now.
Yeah.
And then 2 days later, by the way, guys, here's my Patreon. And it's like, wow, these two totally aren't connected in the slightest.
No,
they totally aren't in a financial path.
Yeah, it actually, like, unless you're like super successful on YouTube, especially
unless you're literally PewDiePie or Markiplier,
right? And unless you and if you, especially also if like you like to have slightly more controversial videos, because YouTube now has been doing a lot of what's the word?
Censorship.
Stuff like that. Yeah, you have to have donation stuff set up if you want to do full-time. The meaning of full-time YouTuber is not exactly meaning that you just rely on YouTube. It means that you are getting donations from other people through different sources that allow you to make videos for YouTube.
Well, yeah, you really do need things like Patreon to make money on YouTube these days, it seems.
Yeah, and what I was wanting to bring
up,
because
Patreon's becoming a terrible place too.
Oh no.
Yeah. And then you've got places like Nebula where it's like, hey, watch our stuff ad-free for like, what, $10 or something like that. But what I was wanting to get at with this is something my mom told me once that I think I've repeated to you, Raina. I don't know if I've said this around you, Stun. It's so you've got all these teenagers who are trying to work like 1 or 2 jobs so that they can like have their own apartment and whatever, but they're taking up all the overtime that they can get.
Mm-hmm.
And then once that, they can only have so much overtime before it runs out, like, or other people trying to take up their overtime. And besides the fact that this suddenly becomes a competition because of that, or what feels like a competition in my head, once they don't have that overtime, they start complaining, oh, I can't pay my bills anymore, and it's like, well, then why did you pick the really expensive house if you really needed unreliable money in order to pay for it?
Yeah.
And I get that, and I get that same feeling from YouTubers saying they want to go full-time YouTube, and it's not in. There are some success stories in there, I will admit. It's not always going to be the case that YouTube is unreliable, but for the most part, I would call it unreliable. Yeah. Unless you've got like the following of Markiplier or PewDiePie, unless you know exactly what you're doing, and don't. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't feel most YouTubers do.
Probably.
Yeah,
not.
and I honestly feel like YouTube is largely unreliable too, especially if you're someone who has particular viewpoints or particular topics they want to broach. You may very well end up getting smacked by you may very well get smacked down by YouTube and demonetized because they don't want to hear your kind of content. They don't want you on their platform.
But
they're going to do everything they can. Sorry.
But because of the time, we do need to close it here. Though we'll be able to do more of this kind of stuff come Friday, Saturday. But I do need to close it off for now. We can talk after the stream, just so.
Rats.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
I was gonna say, Alex had a giving story that he wanted to say. If you want to wait until that's done.
Well, we could talk about it afterwards, but we don't want to go too far over time. So. Okay. I'm gonna meet you guys. We'll talk after this point. So let me do that real quick. So, anyways, so yeah, whoop, that's the wrong thing entirely. This one here, there we go. All right, so I want to thank you guys for watching. It's been a lot of fun. We like to broadcast every week, Mondays, Fridays, and Saturdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you really enjoyed this, join us again Friday. Hopefully this time YouTube will not have issues like it did last week. For those who were wondering why we did not stream on Friday, we desperately did try to, but something was happening with YouTube preventing uploads and also streaming. I don't know what. If you guys caught wind of what that might be, just let us know what it was. But for whatever reason, we couldn't go live. Either way, we will, though, be going live this Friday at 7 p.m. And if you've really enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, because we like to take all this, edit it, and bring it back to you with nice music and everything. Even make highlights and stuff of that nature if you want to find something a little bit more broken down. So I just want to, again, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you again Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You guys have a good night.